Happy New Year, guys. Dameon Russell here. I'm making this recording because my wife and I, Sylviana, branch owners at Elk Grove, have been having a series of meetings with our key leaders, our builders, division heads within our branch, so that we are starting 2016, which promises to be spectacularly prosperous for all of us, just based on positioning and a little bit about what I'm going to cover here behind me shortly. We've been having a series of meetings to make sure we're all on the same page, make sure we all understand the potential of 2016, and make sure that we all understand the positioning, where we're trying and how we're trying to position ourselves to be poised to take the greatest advantage of the prosperity that's sure to come in 2016. So 2016 we've dubbed the year for prioritization and revenue. It's all about the money this year. No kidding, no joke. It's about the money and prioritization of the money-making activities that we should, as branch owners and as team leaders, should be pursuing or conducting in this order, and we'll cover that in just a second, to ensure that we're generating the best possible revenue potential from this ERS opportunity at a branch ownership level. So again, 2016 prioritization and revenue. So number one, first and foremost, I hope you can see this. I'm recording it so you can stop, rewind it if you missed something, if I'm talking too fast. We're going to archive it so you'll have it. But also, we're willing to do one-on-one. My wife and I will do one-on-one consultation with you. I just figured the video presentation of the content would be an expeditious way to get it all out there to you. So we're still willing to talk and ready and able to do the one-on-one consults to start the new year. We want to do that, but I want you to take this information to heart, and I hope you can see it. I'm going to cover everything and bring it to light verbally, so hopefully that'll help you as you're hopefully not squinting to visualize it. But anyway, as we talk about recruiting, we talk about licensees. I'm not talking about builders. I'm not talking about students. I'm not talking about people who want to get their NMLS or their BRE or take the 20-hour class in 2 months. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm not saying that we don't want to hire those folks. We hire those people every month here. But what I'm saying is, again, remember, it's about prioritization. So what I'm talking about is recruiting with priority. So when you recruit with priority, I'm talking about licensees in real estate, mortgage, and insurance. Real estate, mortgage, and insurance. I want you to think of the movie. If you haven't seen it, go grab it. It's a great movie to see. It's called Moneyball. It's a true story of the Oakland A's and how they had a paradigm shift in their thinking with regard to recruiting and building their operation, their organization, after they lost their heavy hitter, Jason Giambi. The scouts were all out there trying to bang their heads and find the next Giambi, next big heavy hitter for the team. And the general manager at the time was saying, look, this is about numbers. It's about math and algorithms. So you get me average producers who can get up to the plate consistently, hit the ball, and get on base with consistency, and will win the championship. That's how this game is going to be won. This is the same way when you're talking about recruiting and building for your ERS organization. Stop looking for the top producers. You can't offer them anything, you can't satisfy what they want, and you're not going to make any damn money off of them anyway. So the reality is, go after the average producers. Guys and gals who can get in there, they've got 1 to 2 years, 12 to 24 months of experience, have closed 10 to 20 transactions over that time period, maybe 10 per year. That's an average of 1 to 2 transactions every 60 days. So every 2 months they're closing 1 to 2 transactions. Find those people, get them in your office, and you'll make money. Stop looking for Jason Giambi. You can't do anything for him anyway. So recruiting in real estate, mortgage, and insurance, the average, not top, the average consistent producers, and that's the winning formula. So recruiting is always the number one priority. I think my black marker is running out. Recruiting is always the number one priority. Second is real estate, and that's up there obviously because we're a real estate company at our foundation, and that's our bread and butter. So real estate being the bread and butter, that's what we do. So build your real estate division, and these are all divisions. You should have these segregated, separate divisions within your organization, within your branch. So have a recruiting division or division head. If that's you or someone you delegate to, so be it. Maybe your top or best builder within your organization. Have a real estate division head. That should be the branch manager who's got a real estate license, someone who can advise and mentor real estate agents as they need help and guidance. But build your real estate division. Residential, that's our bread and butter. Commercial, number 3 on the priority list. Remember, this is about the money. Prioritizing the money-making activities so that as you apply your resources, money, effort, energy, human resource, in the pursuit of money in 2016, that you do so with this priority in mind, and that you do so with these divisions, setting up these divisions in mind. Commercial, that's both finance and real estate, not just commercial finance. Robert Doe, at his heart, has expressed to me several times, stated to me clearly several times, that he wishes and desires to have a commercial real estate division. Hey, I don't disagree with him. That's my expertise. I've been doing commercial real estate in some form or another for the last 20 plus years. So I am trying to emulate that here and have a commercial division here. Commercial finance, sure, but also commercial real estate. We have a growing number of agents, 3 at this point. We have 30 agents in the office, 30 licensed real estate agents in this branch, ERS Elk Grove. And of that, we have 3 agents with confirmed serious commitment and desire to build something on the commercial side of real estate. Now think about what our model is. TLC. Perfect example of harmony and in the spirit of TLC. We have commercial real estate agents out there. If you can recruit and build your organization with this in mind, you're going to have commercial real estate agents out there working with buyers of commercial property, businesses. We have several business listings right now where they're actually selling the business, not the real estate, no real property involved. We have those kinds of listings. We have commercial asset acquisition, commercial asset refinance. But the point is, if you've got commercial real estate agents out there, you're going to have opportunity to have commercial finance as well. Double N, true spirit of TLC. Build your commercial division, guys. Reverse mortgage, it's number 4 on the list. Because real estate's bread and butter, it's got to be there. Recruiting is always number 1, and commercial is just so damn big. But this is enormous. If you've not been under a rock for the last 6 months, then you know for a fact how serious ERS Elk Grove is. My wife and I are about building our reverse mortgage division. Guys, reverse mortgage pays a lot of money, 11 points. So even with a loan originator on that reverse scale of say 400, 450 basis points, that's still a lot of company dollar. You can make a lot of money per file, per closed transaction in reverse mortgage. We're buying leads. We've got a call center. We've got people making outbound calls. We've got a full-time dedicated employee who does that here at Elk Grove. I'm not talking about corporate. I'm talking about here. We're generating leads for reverse mortgage, and we're giving those leads to our agents. We're not charging them for them. That's going to be a branch decision at your level, at your part. You can decide whether or not you want to charge for your leads. I'm just telling you, we're not. The other end of that, corporate does. There's a 50-50 split on company-generated leads. Here, there's nothing. Maybe you want to settle somewhere in between there. We're doing it to incentivize the process. We want to feed our agents, and it's working. So something to consider. You don't have to be greedy. You don't have to gouge the agents. And leads, if given to properly trained loan originators, is going to result in closed transaction, which is going to put money in your branch coffers anyway. Think about that. But reverse mortgage, no joke. One thing we had to go through to get to this reverse mortgage status and ability was that we had to file, apply, and become a DBO branch. Prior to Elk Grove achieving DBO status and getting a DBO branch license of our own, the only DBO licensed office or location in the company was, of course, corporate. that means technically that all of your DBO loan officers, folks, which is where the majority of the reverse mortgage activity happens, which is why we went through it, is going to happen on the DBO side, is going to require that you be a DBO branch. Technically, if you're not, then your DBO loan officers, those are loan officers who have an NMLS license only with no BRE. We can hire those folks, but technically they're only supposed to be sitting their butts in a corporate office, and that's it. They're not even supposed to be sitting at your branch. Now that we've achieved that status, which wasn't expensive at all, our loan officers under DBO can sit here. They can work here. I can build here. So obviously, knowing that we're going to make a tremendous push and put a lot of resources behind building our reverse mortgage division here, understood that we had to be achieve our DBO status, not to mention that way we can actually legally be paid by the corporate office for, or compensated in the manner that we're used to as branch owners when transactions close. Without that DBO status, Robert's hands are kind of tied. He and Kevin Wynn, their hands are tied. They really can't make that payout in that fashion because technically those agents, those originators are not supposed to be working in your office. So something of a technicality to think about it, not very expensive, didn't even take that much time, but we got it done and now we're legit. Solar's on the list, and I'll show you why when we get into the numbers in a moment. But the reason it's on the list is because now, where before it didn't really have the bite, solar didn't have a lot of bite. Talking with Douglas Gaffney, the head of our home services division, there are two new incentive government or finance programs that we can make use of that have changed the game. They've been game changers so that our solar division now does have bite, and it's a real potential moneymaker for you as a branch owner. So pay attention when I get over here to the other side of the board and I start laying all that out. You'll see why this is on the list, why it's a worthy pursuit, and it's worthy of being in the top 5 prioritization or priority list for money-making activities as a branch. So that covers the priority list. This again is the prioritization of the money-making activities that as branch owners we all need to be focused on for 2016 if we're going to be pursuing the money. And I hope you can see that. Again, I can make this available as a slide, perhaps. I haven't done so yet, but I can do that. Now we're going to get over to the analysis. This is what I do in my sleep. I dream numbers. I'm an analytical freak, but I analyze everything and I break things down very well. I've been doing it for a very long time, and this is the type of stuff that makes sense to me. So when you talk about the proper operation of a branch, I need to see that through the scope or through the goggles of numbers. I need to be able to see the math behind it and project that out. And that's what I've done for you here. Just in case you're not that analytical nut, please allow me to share that with you. Silviana and I live by this type of stuff. We plan and plot these things so that we know what we're going into. And by the way, it really does set up all of this in terms of understanding the fruits of the labor, the efforts, the fruits that these money-making activities can bear, and then using that to help you prioritize what you should and shouldn't be wasting your time on. So here we are, we have this chart. Now if you notice, it's for fiscal year, quarter 1, 2, Q3, and quarter 4. Those of you who don't know, a fiscal quarter is 3 months. So Q1 is January through March, and so on. Real estate, mortgage, insurance, and solar. The numbers we have on here, it's about bodies. So we're talking about building your organization, the human resource that's going to power your revenue, charge up your stream for 2016. It's going to be about the bodies. It's going to be about the recruiting. So this is a diagram or a chart of what that looks like and how those bodies translate into numbers and revenue. So let's say, and we're talking about bodies. I've already got the numbers filled in. This is not it's a hypothetical. So you would make the adjustments based on where you're starting, what you've got, what you think your growth potential is, and frankly, what you think your recruiting prowess or ability is. That's going to change these numbers. It may make this realistic for you, may make it ultra conservative or liberal. So you use your own numbers. I am showing this to demonstrate the type of analysis you need to be conducting as a branch owner to ensure the success of your operation. I am showing you this hypothetically so that you can take this chart, absent of the brown numbers, and fill in the blanks for yourself. And one more thing to point out before I start, I'm sorry, is that every bit of analysis starts with key assumptions. So if you're going to analyze something in a table, you've got to have key assumptions. So the key assumptions I used were a YW, a W, X, Y, and Z value, and some things over here as well. I'm going to address them very quickly. W equals 200,000. 200,000 is what I'm using for this market area as the average transaction value. These numbers in this analysis that we're going to get into it really specifically pertain to real estate and mortgage, but in a general manner pertain all across the board, but specifically real estate and mortgage. So average $200,000 transaction value, that means the average home value a real estate agent closes, the average loan or funded amount or principal, $200,000. That's the W value of the key assumption. The X value is the average gross commission income, the GCI. So resulting from a transaction value of 200K at 2.5%, which is another part of the assumption. So 6% commission total, agent split 3 and 3, but now in our market it's more like 5, so they're splitting 2.5, so that's why I used it. I want to be conservative in my projections so that we're not overreaching. 2.5% I used with an agent who's at a 75% split. I figured I'd split the difference on a retention contract between the 70-30 split and the 80-20, which are both common, so I wanted to factor in both. So what I did was I just used 75. So that's a 75% agent retention and a 25% company dollar therefore. That's going to result with this value in an average gross commission in of $5,000 at a 2.5 commission rate. If you apply the split, that's going to be a 25% of the $5,000 or a company dollar value of $1,250 on average. Then further, the Z value here is the branch money. So your branch money per transaction. It accounts for branch profit and overhead. It does not account for override. So if you have hired the agent, that agent's direct to you in your branch, or if that agent is on your team and you're downline and in your branch, I've not factored the overhead. That's icing on the cake. What I've factored is branch profit and overhead. 40% of the gross company dollar. 40%. So that comes out using these values to be $500. Again, 75% split, and that's for, as I said, we're talking about average agents. Give me the average, consistently producing agents. 2 transactions per quarter per agent. 2 transactions per quarter per agent. Here's something I added in there. I always consider the 80-20 principle in sales projections because you just have to. 80-20 means that, for those of you who do not know, and you should know, 80-20 means that when you have a body of agents and a sales force, that means that 20% of those people, your 20%ers, are going to be responsible for generating 80% of your revenue. 20% of your people would be responsible for generating 80% of your revenue. The other 80% of your people will be responsible only for generating collectively 20% of your revenue. That's an annualized formula. So what we're saying is that if you have 10 agents, 2 of them are going to be your 20%ers, are going to produce 80% of the revenue. The other 8 collectively, when they close here and there and whenever, are going to generate just 20% of your annual revenue. That's the 80-20 rule. So because we're trying to do an aggregated kind of analysis here, I've whittled that down or factored it by using 60% as a value. So what that does is it incorporates and grants you production value for the 20%ers and the 80%ers. I've kind of amalgamated or aggregated to a 60% factor. So what that means is if we're talking about 10 bodies, if you have 10 agents, I'm going to give you production value at 2 transactions per quarter per agent for 6 of those agents, 60%. So you're not getting the full production out of all of them. You're losing 4 agents in that case, but that properly addresses and factors in the 80-20 rule, if you can follow me, if that makes sense. So that's where we're at. So let's get back to the actual numbers. So let's say you have, I don't know, 5 real estate agents right now, licensed real estate agents. I'm not talking about active. I'm not saying discount the licensed real estate agents who aren't producing or you haven't heard from in 2 months. I'm saying count licensees. I'm talking about strictly about your roster. So you've got 5 licensees. Let's say then by the end of quarter 1, 2016 Q1, you're going to have 12. By the end of Q2, you're going to keep recruiting, you're going to have 20. And by the way, your team members are going to recruit and build their teams as well, which helps add to your number. Remember, we're just talking strictly about your roster of agents. So you finished Q3 with 30. You finished Q4 in the year of 2016 with 45 licensed real estate agents. So again, these are hypothetical numbers. I mean, at Elk Grove right now, we have 30 plus real estate agents licensed. So we're starting at 30. So by the end, our number by the end of Q4, we're looking to have 100 at least. So you use this chart based on your organization and where you're starting and where you hope to be as a projection. And don't just use pie in the sky numbers. I mean, a jump from 5 to 12, that's 7 agents. A jump from 12 in the next 3 months to 20 is only 8 agents in 3 months. I think you can recruit that many people, especially as your organization is growing, you're getting a name out there, and people are talking, and as I said, your agents are talking to other agents about coming on board as well. So I think you want to keep the numbers realistic, but factor all of those things mentally as you consider jumping and increasing from quarter to quarter. Mortgage the same way. Let's say you have 2 licensed loan officers, NMLS licensed loan officers in your branch right now. Get busy. Keep this in mind. This is where the money's at. You want to be focused on recruiting loan officers, whether they're for forward mortgage or reverse. We're finding we're hiring a lot of forward mortgage specialists who, once they hear about the money in reverse mortgage, they're all over it. Then they want to learn. We've got our guys teaching and mentoring them, and we can do that for your people as well. Just get them on board. So let's say you start with 2, you hire 4 by the end of the first quarter, then you finish quarter 2 with 12, you finish quarter 3 with 20, and you finish the year with 30 licensed loan officers. Insurance 5, 10, 15, 25, and I'll say solar for a moment. I want to address that individually. But let's start looking at what that means numerically based on our key assumptions. Let's put some numbers there and see what that looks like for you. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you how to factor that 60% and do this analysis properly so that it means something and it's not meaningless, it's meaningful. So 12 agents by the end of quarter 1, what are they going to produce? What is the revenue you can hope to have or project to have by having 12 bodies with real estate licenses in your branch through the first quarter of 2016? Well, here we go. So 12 agents, but I'm only giving you credit. Remember, we're applying a 60% grant production value for those 12 agents. So 60% of 12 is 7.2. So 7 agents. 2 transactions per quarter per agent. So those 7 produced times 2, 14.4 or 14 transactions. And remember, your average value per transaction, $500, $7,200. So those 12 bodies with real estate licenses in your branch through by the end of the first quarter should generate or thereabouts $7,200 in gross revenue for you based on this factor for branch profit and overhead. Hope that makes sense. Moving on to second quarter, 20. Giving you the 60%, that's 12 of course, times 2, 24, and then times the $500 value, that's $12,000. I hope you're all able to follow this. It's really simple math, but the way you do it is very helpful. And this is something you can apply to other projections, other areas of your business, other areas of your life, hell. So worth hearing, worth learning. 30. I'll just do the math. That's 18 agents that you get credit for out of the 30 at a 60% value. Times 2 transactions per quarter per agent is 36 transactions times the $500 value per transaction is 18,000. 18,000, 45 agents. Let's do that really quickly. 45, 6 times 2 times 500. 27,000. 7,200, 12,000, 18,000, 27,000. Do the same thing for mortgage. It'll be $3,600 in mortgage or production revenue at this rate. 12 we already know equates to 7,200, so we've got some of the numbers done for us. 20 we already know, 12,000. 30 we already know, we've shown that and done the math there, that's 18,000. This is your real estate and mortgage production based on this growth, this recruiting growth rate, and it's not exponential. These are real numbers. As a branch owner, you should be considering this very real. Okay, guys, let's continue. Let's do that. Let's talk about solar. As you notice, it is here, as I said before, on our list of priorities, number 5 on the board for our priority action items or money-making activities as a branch. And I'm going to explain to you why I thought it was important. I already said earlier that speaking with Mr. Gaffney, there's a couple of incentive programs in the finance arena that have broadened the arena for Elite, broadened the scope. The clients that we can and cannot handle have, that list is broadened. So well worth it, and I'm going to show you the money now. The recruiting I already touched on. Very easy to recruit for solar. Obviously, it's a non-licensed activity. It's basically a handoff. So you've got guys out in the neighborhood, presumably door knocking. So it sounds a little like this. Hi, we're in the neighborhood today representing Elite Solar and our partner Sunova or Sun Edison, and we're talking to homeowners like you today about possibly saving up to 40 or 60% on your electricity costs monthly. If that would be something that would interest you, I can take your information and someone can from our office will give you a call back and give you that extra info and take it a bit further. Or something of that nature. I don't have it scripted, but you get the point. If that homeowner says, yeah, hey, that sounds interesting, I'd like to hear more about that, that's it. Then the RFA, the referring field agent, your team member in the field, then simply brings that information, that generated lead or generated interest back to the office. If that deal closes, that person gets paid for a simple handoff. They get paid quite well. So let's talk about the money. I'm going to use red, so I know solar's all about being green, but I'm going to use red for visualization to make sure you can clearly see this. So solar's based on the value of the system. That's how we're paid. Based on kilowatt hour usage, the average solar system for the average single family home is about a $40,000 system. So if the system's 40K, 40,000, we are paid as a company by our solar partners 10% of that. So that would be a $4,000, I know I'm doing that backwards, but that would be a $4,000 GCI, gross commission, in from the solar partner as a result of closing that deal, that single deal. Now, everyone starts, the RFAs, your team members are going to start at 30%. So that means they would get 30% of this GCI figure. But the way this works is that there's an override or a gap, just like in the other comp plans, so that You started 50 as a branch owner. You're at 50. I'm presuming you're at 50. I am. I believe we all started at 50 because we were the original CFTs. That means you have a gap over your field associate of 20%. So you're going to earn 20% of that, which is $800. So that's an $800 payday to you just in the gap. Your field associates start at 30, but based on their production, so if they're out there killing it, they're going to rise up. They're going to go from 30 to 40 to 50, 60, 70, even surpass you perhaps. But as your team production is accrued and accumulated, you get the rise as well. So you start at 50, but then you go to 60, 70, 80. Imagine if you're at 70 and you're bringing in new field associates throughout the quarters of the fiscal quarters of 2016, and your numbers are growing, and you have a large percentage, the majority of these folks are at 30 and you're at 70 by now. Let's say by the end of the second quarter you're at 70. That gap for you is now 40%. So that would be $1,600 for your branch, and that's per transaction. If you can recall the math we use and the algorithm that we use for this chart and this analysis, it's 2 deals per quarter per agent. In solar, that's nothing. These guys can do 2 deals a week. So the reality is a turn time on solar is about 30 to 45 days if it's not a problematic install. If it is, maybe that can go up to 60. Right now our contractors are not behind at all, is my understanding, so that we are honoring and on those timelines. So that if you think about that, it's not the same timeline as a real estate transaction, but the fact that these guys can generate maybe 10 leads a day. So, I mean, you do the math, this can be extremely lucrative. So I want you all to think about positioning your office to jump on that. And that's as simple as, let's discuss some hiring tactics for these folks. You need to have a conversation with Doug Gaffney at corporate, the head of our home services division, and he can help set you up, as I'm working closely with him as well, to get this office going and build a solar team. But these numbers are extremely conservative. When the word, so to speak, gets out that these folks are getting paid for a very, very simple handoff, how do you think that your numbers are going to react? I think they're going to swell. I know we're counting on that here. We're anticipating that, and looking forward to it is an understatement. So again, that's $800 to the branch just in the gap. Now understand that there's also a branch compensation program in solar. That's why I want you to have the conversation with Mr. Gaffney so he can explain that to you in detail that I'm not going to go into right here in this video. But the reality is this is what you earn in the gap, but you also have money coming to the branch as a result of a solar cell as well. So that just considers that, and it's on a basic system for the average single family home. So it looks good. So solar, reverse mortgage, commercial, finance, and real estate. Of course, your bread and butter is your residential real estate sales and activity, but recruiting has got to be paramount and number one in your organization, because you've got to always account for the turn across 4 industries, and you've got to obviously keep feeding new blood into the system, into your organization, and grow your business. So that's our plan. That's the game plan. This is the blueprint for 2016, guys, and we are on it, and we would like you to be on it, and we're certainly willing and here to help you get on it. I can't say that enough, but this blueprint will work. This is, of course, the benefit you allowing us to give you, and us as my wife and I, the benefit of our 4 years experience as branch owners in the ERS system, and then our years of experience beyond that. I've got 26 years in the industry. My wife's now at 10, so we have a considerable amount of experience to offer you, and especially in the running and operation of an ERS branch, we can certainly help you in that regard, and we're here to do that. We want this to be the most prosperous year for you personally in your lives. I'm not sure what you had before the crash. We've all got stories. We've all got stories of found and lost wealth or what have you. I don't care. The reality is this is new. This is the new news, and we're here to do it. This is about positioning, and this is the blueprint to position your branch to take advantage of what's coming across, as you see, multiple industries. So that's it, guys. Happy New Year. Let's do it.